station.
Changing lanes. Blind spot clear. Engaging turn signal.
And worse, if you aren't.
Merge now!
Huh?
Merge.
Oh my gosh, you're about to merge! There's someone in the blind spot! Why aren't you signaling? What are you doing?
And we're not just fighting racism. Equity self-driving detects the driver's sex to increase the amount of time it takes male drivers to parallel park.
All right, come on. Oh, come on. Stop. Come on.
Oh, whoopsies! Sorry, hold on. Whoops. Whoopsies! And introducing our most groundbreaking feature, Equity Autopilot will drive non-Muslim drivers into Christmas parades with the same level of frequency as Muslim ones.
Allah Akbar.
No!
Death to idolatry. Death to the West.
And Equity Autopilot has solved the problem of black drivers getting pulled over more often with a revolutionary new feature, going the speed limit. If that wasn't enough, our new autopilot even tackles wealth inequality.
Tesla, roll up the windows, lock the doors, please.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
Equity Autopilot, the autopilot of the future.
He is now, in fact, passing Mike Murga and is in front of him by at least 4 or 5 yards. He started slowly, but now he is moving quickly, and the next baton pass will be critical. Mike Murga handing it off to Frank Gibb. Oh, that is a bad pass. That's a bad pass. But Frank Gibb is just turning it on. Boy, is he moving. He's covering some ground and closing the gap. The camel is slowing down, and it's anybody's race. We're down to the finish line, and oh! It is a photo finish that's way too close to call. What a race.
Welcome to the cage, ticket in your hand, hard on the page. 3 faces in the dark, all rage. Joker, Abe, James, Quinn, mad on stage. Yeah. Pull up that chart, let it bleed. Talk that talk, that's a creed. Under them tickets we read. Every little line, every need. We don't do calm, we clash. Turn quiet numbers into crash. Where they stash the cash, we drag it out, make it flash. Joker, Abe, James in the chair. Laugh line cut in the glare. Green mask, wild stare. Finger in the air like dare. He don't blink at a red day. He see traps in the Fed play. He see capping what heads say. Turn a hedge fund to an ashtray. Pow! He breaks stocks in segments. Call out fraud in the legends. See the flow, see the leverage. Whisper margin like vengeance. He got scars from the drawdown. Still grin big when it all drowns. Call options like small rounds. Whole room shake when he call sound. He say Sherry, call that's pressure. Short ladder, that's texture. He trace trades like a lecture. Then rip jokes at they investor. Put receipts on a big shark. Turn they bright, they pitch dark. Put they filings on a big chart. Make the crowd bark when he remark. Hey. Welcome to the AMC cage. We don't do calm, we do rage. We don't see lines, we see plays. We don't read news, we read games. Turn that risk into a riot. Turn that talk into a riot. If it's rigged, we gon' defy it. From the pit to the high, we supply it. Yeah. Welcome to the AMC cage. We don't fold hands, we engage. If you scared, stay off the stage. If you ready, then unlock that rage. Hey, gang, 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 hey, gang, 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 hey, gang. K-Dike, Quinn in the cut. Black lipstick, boots locked shut. Eyes on every spread they put. Whip math like a blade to the gut. She pull buns from the archive. That's why yields got a dark side. That's who lied on the mark side. That's who paid for their art prize. She see rate hikes like a crime. Read curves, never read rhyme. If slow twist at the wrong time, she sound alarms like a landmine. She break trenches in tiny shards. Peel back raps from they house of cards. Say this clause, make it hit hard. This small word, leave a big scar. She tell they bases in her head. Every baby head that they bled. If you bluff, she paint you red. Whole chat know what you said. Fact. She laugh, they think it's quaint. How they high risk in the paint. Call it safe, call it saint. But that covenant, it ain't. 3 masks in a storm like a coat. 3 minds on a hunt for a fault. Every safe thing get a praise. Every kingpin get a paw, get a praise. You feel that shaking the floor? That's the crowd at the door. You feel that ring in your core? That's the case, keep a score. Welcome to the AMC cage. We don't do calm, we do rage. We don't see lines, we see plays. We don't read news, we read games. turn that risk into a riot. Turn that talk into a riot. If it's rigged, we gonna buy it. From the pit to the high, we supply it. Welcome to the AMC. We don't hold hands, we engage. If you scared, stay off the stage. If you ready, then unlock that rage. Crazy, angry, mad in the booth. Neck vein pop on the truth. He don't talk cute to the suits. He throw names at the roof. He do swaps like Sudoku. See a spread jump, he like told you. He call caps when they owe you. He drag banks when they ghost you. He maps out bets in the shadows. Whisper counterpart. Welcome to that
Welcome. Now I should have everything fixed, so everything is perfect. We have Matt.
Hello.
And Chaotic. Brave for some rubber duckies. You're the one. Because we make pastime lots of fun. Wow. She was there. She may have disappeared.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear a duck.
Perfect.
Quack, 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 quack.
There you go. There's my duck. And Chaotic. So, wow. What an eventful night so far, which I didn't expect to go live at, 9:19 at night. But hey, you know what? As long as everything's fixed, everything works, we're happy. So, besides that, there's things that we were discussing before. We're kind of going to go fast through them, but one is the actual technical term of what whitewashing actually is, and that is an accounting term that's basically used to clean up financial records for a business or a company. It is not a direct response in trying for a merger or acquisition in the case of AMC. AMC is profitable. AMC is in a position because they're debt restructuring, because they have gone ahead and made the right steps to clearing their books from a financial standpoint and be able to make payments at their discretion towards their loans. That was the purpose of whitewashing.
I mean, by terminology, any company that's fixing its fundamental book values could be classified as whitewashing, but the purposes for merger and acquisition as the reason for fixing the books is like, what'd you say, 3-4%?
Not yet 3% on average.
Now, whitewashing as a result of cleaning up your books can result in possibly up to like 10% of fundamental fixing. In unintended mergers and acquisitions as a result can happen, but 90% of the majority of distressed companies fixing their fundamentals isn't for the purpose of whitewashing for specifically a merger or acquisition. It's just business responsible to clean your books.
Correct. And speaking of which, we have an accountant on our hands. Her name is Chaotic, who can actually tell us what whitewashing is, because it's important for accounting purposes. Quack.
Say that one more time. I had turned the volume up.
Whitewashing.
Yep.
It's an accounting term. It's meant to clean up house records, clean up debt purchases, make sure everything's functional on the back end of things. Am I correct?
Like a Clevin.
Okay, perfect. When would you actually, do you know, Chaotic, off of your experience, is there an actual time frame or a term that would be used that correctly says for whitewashing? It just seems like it's more so, it's not meant for mergers and acquisitions. I can tell you that right now. It's not the sole purpose or the main purpose of whitewashing. If you know. If not, just, that's fine. I'm trying to clear this up for everybody so everybody understands why this is important, because everybody's hooked on this idea of a merger or acquisition right now when that's really not going to happen.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's something going on. I will say, it seems like there is something going on. Ryan Cohen did an at-length interview where he discussed the future. You know, we see everybody referring to him as the next, Warren Buffett. And obviously, Warren Buffett made the majority of the Berkshire Hathaway money acquiring and merging with other companies. So I think long term, GameStop has to do something like that because they just need to do more than just, you know what I mean? There needs to be more depth to the company.
So a lot of the debt when it comes to GameStop is already tied into their records and into like stocks. Like they can go out and actually do a share offering or anything of that nature right now because all that debt is still tied to the original contracts that they were written on, right, Matt?
Yes, until although their share weren't collateralized, you still have cash restrictions on the cash that they actually acquired at 0% for them offerings for debt.
So in other words, they wouldn't be able to go ahead and actually complete a merger or acquisition without.
I mean, if it was within the limits of what actual free cash of that is available, but at the same time, like AMC, you don't want to burn through what cash isn't locked in these deals.
Well, you don't want to burn through it. You don't want to. You have to have something on your books for your rainy day fund, regardless. I just don't understand why the term whitewashing keeps on appearing when it's not really any type of term for merger or acquisition.
It's a very loosely used definition.
Correct. Go ahead.
It's basically it's like when you're helping out, like when you're trying to do an M&A and you're like you need like the person who's trying to get in there and do the deal needs like a little bit of something just to squeak by, for the banks and compliance.
Understanding that, but here we are at an unprecedented time in history, especially when you have no bank that is solvent right now. There is none. Every single one of them is insolvent. And if they're saying that they're not, they're lying through their teeth. Because if you don't have private equity, which none of them have, and everyone is falling apart as we speak right now, you don't have any type, you're restricting assets from fleeing your brokerages right now. They're holding all assets. They're not letting anybody withdraw anything. And even from a banking standpoint, if you try to go ahead and say you wanted to go ahead and withdraw a certain amount of funds from one account to another, they're going to limit you on what you can withdraw. Specifically right now. That screams something.
The other thing to remember is most mergers and acquisitions are funded through private credit.
Yeah,
that's forwarded from banks. And right now, everybody's fucking scared of the private credit picture already. So forward lending for like that sort of financial structure as a debt instrument is getting tighter and tighter as we speak.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no way. Do you honestly think, I mean, and both of you can answer this because this is a good question. Do you guys honestly think that any bank right now is willing to lend out anything? I mean, anything. Mortgages, credit card, auto loan. You could do margin for stocks. You could do whatever.
Not when they need everything that they have left to maintain the status quo in a situation that they already got themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Chaotic, do you have anything that, I mean, you would agree, right? No one has money to do shit. It's honestly, it's a position where it's unprecedented because we've never seen this. The banks haven't seen this, not since 1929, and I don't know anybody that was alive from then now.
And the geopolitical differences now that is in itself a big risk.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're really in an unprecedented time just from that standpoint. But what's interesting is, okay, so we have this. So people are starting to talk about like these mergers and acquisitions and how we need this to happen or be take over from here or listen, okay, let's give some perfect examples of a merger and acquisition that actually just happened, and that was the whole Paramount deal. And here's Netflix that was in the deal, and all of a sudden, just like that, man, we're good.
There's a huge difference there too. Is that they weren't looking for new funding loans, and when you look at Ellison, he used his own money, so that wasn't necessarily like forward private credit. That
Correct.
was forward.
You're on the exact
Personal
right
credit.
path. You're on the exact right path. Keep on going because this is exactly what I want people to understand.
Yeah, well, Ellisons have money.
Yes.
So they were putting their own personal money on it. Just like Ryan Cohen, when he was doing these acquisitions, was using his own personal money. He wasn't going to the bank and say, hey, look, I need money for this, like Elon did 3 years ago buying Twitter.
Mhm.
Right? He wasn't. He was looking for people with money to invest in the idea.
Hence why you have pictures of him with Ken Griffin during the World Cup.
Right. And I think in these times, like no bank would have ever given Ken the money he needed to forward to Elon as a party to that deal either. So, I mean, times are changing and they're changing fast when it comes to that kind of credit.
Absolutely. And here's the other part that you guys also have to think of also. And this is just from past experience from in this play. It was when what was that? The New York Fed Bank?
Let's put it simple. The Fed's having trouble. The government's having trouble passing budgets. And they have a printing machine.
Yeah. What about that crypto? Oh, what about that new crypto law that's supposed to go ahead and take effect and all that stuff? They still haven't done dick. And they can't. Because here's the biggest problem is you've taken on this debt load from these banks. You've taken on this debt load from these countries. You have sold off so many treasuries to the point where if you try to issue them, no one's going to buy them. And no one thinks you have the ability to actually pay on them. So what does that put you at?
It's also interesting that they took basically the collateral value of Bitcoin and meshed it as a pledgeable asset for bonds, which is a direct use of that liquidity value, market cap of Bitcoin as covers for commercial and real estate, which make up what percent of the bonds?
Oh, I mean, a good probably, 60? I mean, it's huge. I don't know the exact figure, but I would figure that both residential and commercial would probably take up 60% of the bond.
So by doing that, basically what they did is they used Bitcoin and crypto and stable coins as liquidity bag crutch to transfer bonds, which is a majority of commercial and residential real estate, to pass the obligation bag off on that liquidity source.
I mean, well, they would have had to. I mean, but this could also explain why, for example, BlackRock is having so many problems, not just from that standpoint, from one, them being private lending, two, Aladdin had to have basically gone ahead and started reading different algorithms, and that's what's causing a holdup of $10 trillion, I believe.
Yeah,
within the
and you
system.
have that. You have the snowball effect of like MicroStrategies and GameStop and all these big time Bitcoin investors who now have position averages that are at risk of liquidation if they're not propping it up with new purchases as well as trying to average into what the market's doing.
So this gets into effect. Now, here, since you added the residential and commercial real estate factors into this, this is the worst of all time. It's an all-time record for no sales in real estate. It's never happened before where you have so much out there on the market and no one's buying because they can't lend.
And just to make a correlation, there are pockets of real estate that are doing well, but the vast majority on a national level.
I'm talking about just the total national average.
Them little pockets, them little pockets aren't making up for the national level. People like to isolate, well, Florida and parts of Texas and, areas of East Pennsylvania and blah, 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 blah. They're not the higher end market. Most of the higher end market.
New York, Chicago, LA,
San Francisco.
Yeah, there's no one selling. There's nobody. And I can tell you frankly, it was because of what they did during COVID, why they gave, when you had a zero federal fund rate. And
the great exodus too.
Yeah, correct. But you were giving anybody who had a pulse when it came to a credit score, you could have given them anything they wanted. And listen, I was doing 15-year mortgages at 1.75%. No one's going to lose that. Chaotic, you're going to give up a 1.75% interest rate on a 15-year term if you could get it? Exactly my point. A laugh is the perfect answer.
So much for all that free money during COVID, huh, guys?
Exactly. The chickens came to roost, which puts a bigger strain on everything that you're hearing on social media, because everybody is just talking fucking jargon and bullshit and left, right, up, down, forward, back, start. 1, 2, 3, let me sing a Rubber Ducky song. And that's what it is, because no one has ever witnessed this.
I mean, well, if I could get refinance my mortgage for a yen rate term loan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm your bank right now. Next. And it's gone. Next. And this is gone. Next. There's nothing. And that's the problem. Because when you go ahead and you start cutting interest rates, especially like the plan, we need to get more people to buy homes. Well, that's great. You can't cut interest rates because the banks who are holding that higher rate on the previous higher rate mortgages can't make the payments on those loans. Because you're cutting the rate. And they have to go ahead and try to facilitate the lower rate, but they can't. So what do? They end up charging those new home purchasers that want to go ahead and buy a house at these rates right now. You're going to get charged discount points. Why? Because we have to try and cover ourselves on the back end.
Right, because either you're giving the banks liquidity to do their function, which is volume of market or liquidity in the market.
You have to fit the bonds.
But that's at the expense of the underwriting.
Correct.
You're sitting on the underwriting previous rates on the forward loss.
Now, but you're still losing, even on the back end and front. You're losing on both ends. And listen, no bank is going to lose. They don't lose. If a bank says that this is what you're paying, guess what? That's what you're paying. Or else you're not getting a loan.
That's why all the central banks are on the Federal Committee for Governing Policy.
They have to. So,
and that's why the Fed does whatever the governing body tells it to do, because they don't know how to fix it, and they don't want to screw the banks, because then they have to be the ones to bail them out, so they're stuck doing whatever the banks need at the moment they're in, but until they can't, which is pretty much where we're at.
Where we're at. Now, here's the next things about this. We're gonna kind of bring this into AMC's debt right now, because actually, scratch that. Matt, me and you have an agreement on and who should be my dum-dum of the week. I know he's one of your potential favorites of dum-dum of the week, but some of the things that this moron has been tweeting definitely deserves that honor. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start dum-dum of the week. Here we go.
All right, first academic alert. Wiggum, Ralph.
I won!
No, Ralph. This means you're failing English.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
Hey, knock it off! There's a kid back there!
I'm in danger.
Explain it to you again. I give you $5 and you buy Daddy a present.
Okie doke.
Hey, give me that. Oh. Whoa, this is a 50. This kid's finally paying off. All right, Ralphie, let's see what you can do with 100. Yeah. Come on, Ralphie. Big money, Ralphie.
Welcome back to the AMC Ape Cage, where we scroll through the timeline rage. There he is on his digital throne, paper crown, tiny brain typing like he's grown. Screenshot ready, hit that zoom, put that masterpiece up in the room. Hey, dum-dum of the week, stand up, take a bow, so proud of being dumb. Wear that paper crown, dum-dum of the week. You hit a brand new low, we read your tweet out loud on the AMC Ape Cage show. Top 12 misspellings never gonna stop. Chest so puffed on a losing trade, bragging about a move you never even made. Got that quote on the big screen, whole chat laughing, know what we mean. Hey, dum-dum of the week, stand up, take a bow, so proud of being dumb. Wear that paper crown, dum-dum of the week. You hit a brand new low, we reach a tweet out loud on the AMC Ape Cage show. Your victory song. You keep yelling that you're right while we all sing along. Ooh yeah, I'm so dumb, king of clown town cloud. Paper crown on your head while we call you out. Dum-dum of the week, stand up, take a bow, so proud of being dumb. Wear that paper crown, dum-dum of the week. You hit a brand new low, we reach a tweet out loud on the AMC Ape Cage show.
I love the Ralph part. That I can't help but laugh every single time I hear it. But Chaotic, I'll let you kick off your dum-dum of the week. I know it's everybody's favorite.
Oh, yes. My favorite, which he's been quiet for a while, but he's coming up again crazy. Johnny Hampton.
Oh.
Old John.
Oh, Long John?
We might have
Long John Silver.
I saw a cartoon, this was the other day, of somebody like doing a WWE wrestling match against John Hampton. and he was just getting body slammed after body slam from like the on the ring off the corners. Oh my God, I was dying.
That guy is so unhinged, and he tries to pick a fight with me every time, and I just fucking level that man. I feel bad because he's old as fuck, but like, come on. You start, you know what I mean? I don't want to beat up on the elderly, but here we are.
You might as well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah.
Because the issue is I have the same person, so it might come down to which is the dumbest thing you could do.
Awesome. I love this. Hold on. Yeah, I love it when we got challenges. We got challengers tonight.
Well, let me say he's dumb because even his own clients have reported that they think he's a fucking idiot. And that was in December when they were still...
Hey, wouldn't that explain their why they're losing money faster than Long John Silver's right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, the hedge fund did really well in December compared to all of the other months, including right now. But it's my understanding that they also shut off withdrawals. And like clients were trying to withdraw, and he ultimately, like the hedge fund wouldn't allow them to. So they're locked in there with him.
Hey,
I feel bad for his clients.
Restricting withdrawals, like we've been saying.
Yeah.
Is your nominator John Hampton himself, or his clients who were dumb enough to trust him with their money?
I mean, it's crazy to me that people like him. I mean, he goes off the same way that Dougie Large used to. Doug Sifu. And Doug Sifu lost his job. Well, I take it back. They let him retire because he was right in the middle of losing all of his other shit over the way that he talks to people on the internet. John Hampton's running around saying, you should take out a second mortgage in your house. You should max out your credit cards. You should, like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? It's not, I don't like hedge fund CEOs just as a demographic. But you typically don't see one that is that openly vocal about enjoying causing harm to other people in that way.
I think the dingo ate your baby.
It's a pathology. You know what I mean? That's in the DSM-5, you guys.
I think it's the dingo ate your baby. That's what I think. Or the wallaby.
So my dum-dum, I think my favorite clapback of the week was John Hampton saying, until one of you maxes out your credit cards and loses your house, I'm a failure. And then I followed up and I said, don't sell yourself short, John. You're a tremendous failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He might be shorter than Gasparino.
I just don't understand how somebody, you know what I mean? There's psychology behind this. Like, who spends that kind of time and effort and energy openly hating? And he says that he hates us. He says, I hate you guys. Cool. Like, I hate you too. The difference is, I don't ever think about you the way you think about us.
I did some DD. His mentor is actually a psychology-based trader.
He's bad at it, though. You know what I mean? Like, it would make sense. Like, when you say that, it's not that impressive because he still sucks. And, like, his attempts at psychology are weak-ass reverse psychology shit that we all learned in, like, 6th grade. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, how did you get in that chair? Who let you have this job? So, I just, every chance I get, and every time he pops back up at this point, I have fought with him in this way so many times that everyone immediately comes to find me when they see him, like, crawl back out from under his fucking rock over there in Australia in the fucking bush somewhere. The different, you know what the thing is, and I tend to think that since he doesn't do this, like, he hates us every day, right? We know this. He hates us every single day of every single week of every single month for the last 5 years. He is just, the timing of when he chooses to pop off like this is interesting to me.
My $1 million question is if you are a millionaire or in some cases a billionaire, are you worried about people on social media that are sitting there and saying stuff? I wouldn't be.
I think it's one of those situations where every accusation is a confession. He's antagonizing apes into maxing out all their lines of credit and getting them more.
Totally understand.
That's probably what he fucking did. You know what I mean? That's probably the boat he's in, and he's just projecting it onto us. And I had to follow as a dude. I don't borrow money like that. Why the fuck would I borrow money from the bastard I'm playing poker against? You're giving up your leverage. You're giving up your power when you borrow money because now you fucking owe that guy. So why would I do that? I pay cash for all my shares. I do not trade on margin. Like I very rarely finance everything, you guys. I don't even have a car payment. You know what I mean? Like, I owe all my shit because what the problem is when you turn everything into a business purchase because you're trying to avoid paying taxes, if that business goes under, you lose all of your nice shit that's technically owned by that company.
You never own
Bankruptcy.
anything outright.
Nope.
You never own any of your shit. And I think that's exactly the problem that he's in right now. I think he's maxed out on all of his lines of credit. He's used all of his favors. No one is coming to save him. And I think he's having that like come to Jesus moment, but he does it in a way where you can tell he's panicking. It's like something is happening and personally to him that we're not privy to where he is panicking. And he lashes out at us because that's the easiest, like most satisfying outlet for him because obviously he's got to be in some kind of trouble related to this. Otherwise, he'd go pick on somebody else. You know what I mean? He's a nasty kid, like a kid with a magnifying glass burning ants on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? He's just a nasty person. And whatever it is that's causing him a problem, he's going to go make the effort to find those people and make their life miserable. So the fact that he's doing it to us tells me it's related to the situation somehow. Even if we don't know all the way what it is, doesn't matter. It's the psychology behind it.
I'll give you a breakdown later on, so don't you worry. You'll have a fun time with that one. Matt, I want to hear yours.
All right, so I agree. My submission is John Hampton, though for different reasons. So, John, not from Hamilton Hampton, who had his firms based out of Europe and escaped or got pushed to Australia, like all the Europeans do with their psychotic residents of get the fuck out of here. Historically, did a post where he basically said, "All right, apes, you are right. They are naked shorting. They are manipulating. They are dark porn. They are doing all of this, and they are rehypothecating. But what you fail to realize is that the company issued all the covers for all of that, and that's a known fact as well. And until you come to terms with that, you're fucked because as long as Adam Aaron's the CEO, you are going to continue to get supplied out of the naked threshold FTE exposure that you're saying is cycling. And I say, you're full of shit because as every bit of dilution got rehypothecated, front shorted, back shorted, and leveraged into options and swaps exposures and ape and all this other stuff, right, that they offshoring, that they use. No, we might not see the FTD cycle until they actually have to go to market, get off the dark exchange, get off the offshoring, get off the leveraged margin borrowing, right? Until that happens, we won't see it. But when that does happen, it'll be a whole different game. The evidence is in no matter how high no matter what the float size is, when it was 1.1, including it, when it was 150 million pre-June run-up, wanted dilution and sell-off and all that, and it was 507. We're back to 517 million, back above 20% short interest is reported, which we know is a fucking lie, right? Nothing's changed. No matter all the cycles we've been through, all the float sizes, all the shares issued by the company that got rehypothecated, whatever, they never once showed a cyclical report period filing where the short interest reported and the FTD there as a result didn't cyclically bounce right back up to that greater than 20% range. And I'm sorry, but the higher the float and the higher the higher the share volume it takes to be above that 20% reported value. So no, Hampton, your theory to actually say we're right about everything but wrong about this one aspect tells me you don't have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, because everything else can't be right, and that alone be a factor that discredits everything else that's right is that one aspect not being true.
These, for both of you, I like both answers, man. I like both, how you both did it while also having different points about him specifically, which is awesome. Chaotic with your.
There's a lot to make fun of with him. There's a lot of material there.
Dude, he's full of endless material in the last month.
Do you know who else is also full of endless material? Yeah, his name starts with Tony, and then his name is Francese, De Niro. Because he is my Dum-Dum of the Week. Now, the reason for him being Dum-Dum of the Week is a bunch of different reasons. One, he likes to pick and choose his battles on when he's going to go ahead and actually debate about AMC's financials, because he's not sitting there and actually going over the actual core values of each individual line. So he is going and using his own accounting methods to go ahead and paint a negative light, but still drags you into, AMC YouTube Live updates this evening. Status of the $150 million equity offering. Only $38 million raised so far, estimate. 2, 17.7 million shares. 424B7 filing today. How much did I spend on A-list concessions and extra movie tickets at AMC for 2025? Bet it was way more than you would have imagined. Way more? Way more. Do you even support AMC? Stop the whining. Is his direct tweet that was done 3 hours ago. Now, I am...
And all while self-disclosing that he has no position in the stock.
Correct. But yet, why do you need to keep on telling everybody, or why do you need to go ahead and keep on bashing a stock? Keep on saying that it's not profitable. Keep on saying that they're not going to be profitable. Keep on doing all this if you don't have other reasons for doing it. And you're utilizing just the name to go ahead and drive an audience. If you're so well-knowledge and diverse within the markets, you shouldn't need to go ahead and do that. Just like the rest of these clowns that sit here and try to talk a good game, but yet they need to go ahead and actually specifically say the name of the company to drive you in. There's no point in sugarcoating anything in the markets. Anything that's done from a financial standpoint, you don't sugarcoat shit. You be blunt and you explain what the risk, what the reward is. And if you're not feeling it, you don't have to do it. But at least you were honest about it. That is my dum-dum of the week. Because I can't stand when people try to make people oblivious about what they're investing in. You all know what you're investing in. We all know why we're here in AMC. They need you to sell. Point blank. That's all they need for you to do, is to sell. If you don't sell, they can't close out. They can't close out. You have the problems that they are having right now. Plain and simple. That is the simplest explanation of this play. They don't have it. They can't meet their margin requirements. They're losing all that. Why do you think Ortex went all bonkers today? Think about it. because it gives you a great answer of the why. And that's my dum-dum of the week, because he deserves to be there. He also needs to be put into one of these segments that we're going to go over here in a little bit. Before we go, and you're going to learn a lot tonight.
Before you move on,
I'm utilizing you here in 30 seconds, my friend.
I think you need to utilize the cheer button for your own submission. I think it's deserving.
Matt and I, we talk pretty consistently. Same with Chaotic and I. We talk very consistently. All of us do. And the one thing that really was brought into kind of my attention, because, yeah, I have been out of the loop for about a week and a half, and that's because girlfriend's mom passed away. And, yes, she's going to a better place. But honestly, she's been fighting dementia for 15 years, and you know what? It's time to be with her husband up there. She can go chill with Mama Mary, my mom, up in the clouds, and I know she's going to have a great time. It was just her time, and that's all it was. But being out has really given me kind of an outside view of everything. And one of the things that Matt and I were talking about, which honestly kind of made one of the sections tonight even more important than what it is this whole new thing about Ape. And Ape coming back into the fold for lawsuits and all this other legal hassle with, and they're all talking about it on YouTube now. Because if my dad heard about it and is asking me, that means it's gotten into the YouTube crowd. The ones that try to give content where there's no content to actually be delivered on this speculative new thing. Because they're putting on a front. This is exactly what financial institutions do. And just to be point blank,
they're trying to change the language of shit in order to meet legal requirements for a suit that aren't there.
We're going to get into the depths of this here shortly. But they're going to put on a front. They're going to put on something. They're going to trickle something out to you. It could be a whisper. It could be a horn. It could be something very, very simple. But that goes to one person. Then that goes to a different group. Then that goes to another group. And then this gets, totally manipulated within the realm of social media. And then they have a disguise. They have a way to go ahead around you to do whatever their bidding is at that point, because you're not paying attention. You're focused on this. And Matt, please explain. In regards to Ape and this new sugar-coated lollipop lawsuit that's absolute poo-caca. In my opinion. I mean, there's no way that this, if I was a judge, if I was an attorney, there's no way I'm allowing this to happen. None. Matt. Technical difficulties? I hope not. Matt. So, I'll go into it. Chaotic, are you still there? Maybe?
I'm still here. The duck is laying an egg, so I had to go look.
Bro, rubber ducky, you're the one.
So, can I tell you guys the duck story?
You can tell us the duck story while we're waiting for Matt, yes.
Okay. So, you know how I have the two baby ducks, and then the little baby duck. Yeah. Well, so I've been laying eggs. She's laid almost at this point, 2 clutches of eggs, maybe 1.5, because they, 8 to 10 eggs is a clutch for them. So I waited for her to lay her first clutch because that means she's an adult now and she's got broody hormones going. And I had the babies next to her for about a month in the crate side by side, where there was like a 6-inch gap between the two crates so they could see each other and hear each other and like be near each other, but no biting, no like trampling, like nothing, nobody could get injured that way until the babies got a little bit bigger. But then I took all of her eggs and gave her babies. So they're all in one big container together now. And she's so happy.
Oh, Rubber Ducky, you're the one.
She has babies now, you guys. She's so happy. She talks to them nonstop and brings them things, and she dug them a nest. Like she is a full on, like those are not her babies, but she's the best adoptive mom I have ever seen.
That's awesome.
And it helps, you know what I mean? She was by herself and like super lonely and the only dog, and now she's got her flock now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's actually very, very heartwarming, and you deserve some chimes.
Yeah.
You good old duck, 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 quack, quack, quack.
I like to do my part. You know what I mean? The world is a terrible place sometimes. If I can make a bunch of duck babies happy, then that's just my contribution.
Hey, everything is, honestly, everything is a shit show, to be perfectly honest with you, when it comes to, yeah, I mean, everything that's going on. It really is. And it's a struggle because most of us haven't witnessed anything like this. And no one's witnessed anything like this. But, I mean, we've seen bits and pieces, like here's one aspect of the world falling apart, here's another aspect. Over the years, millennials have been through 3 different large market crashes within their years, and yet they still haven't seen what this is about to be, which is going to be big, and that's no questions asked on how big this is going to be. But having a heartfelt story about the ducks that go quack quack and rubber duckies, and they can play in bathtubs, and I bet you they're cuter than shit. And it just makes you, aw. And you need those moments. You absolutely do. I don't know if Matt's alive over there or not.
Yeah, I heard everything. I just wasn't at my phone. I had to step away with the dog for a moment.
Woof, woof. So, besides that, we were talking about this whole ape thing that we're going to be trying to have to work around in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, legality-wise, it's the biggest hoopla there could possibly be. But go on, Matt.
So basically, the original class here, ruling by Judge Zern, was that ape holders or receivers of ape, if you were part of the splitted issuance, right, weren't part of the legal class, because the suit at the time was for voter dilution, right? And since ape voters themselves weren't diluted under the corporate action of the ape existence in itself, they couldn't be privy to damages in the class. But what the new suit isn't the same as the voter dilution class damage-free word. The new suit is that it was a fiduciary breach by Adam Aaron in his proxy statement, where he basically said that ape equity holders had the same one-for-one value and dividend rights and everything as the AMC Class A shares, which, because of the lawsuit reward not including them, their suit is that the lack of disclosure that failed to basically say they have equal rights to dividends and value as the Class A's, as a parity, right? they failed to disclose that such a thing could exist where right rewards could disenfranchise the ape as an equal rights equity parity.
Which is absolute horseshit.
Now, the thing is that as it was awarded by the court as a damages settlement, not a dividend, right? But the market doesn't have a taxable or attributable line on their brokers on behalf of clients for class action rewards in the form of shares or cash value for fractal shares as a settlement reward. So when you look, everything market side of things marks it as a dividend. So their argument is that you said we have equal rights to a dividend, which was a lie because we didn't have rights to that dividend. And therefore, if we bought ape, assuming that this suit was going to create an equal parity reward based on the things that you said, wasn't true. But so what they're trying to do is take the classification of the reward and relabel it as a dividend, so as to say that the board and AMC in the prospectus misrepresented all the facts of the COD. What do they call that?
The class of hold on.
I forget.
I always forget that one.
Because I use the abbreviation so much now, I forget what it actually means. But anyway, because of that disclosure not being true to the nature of the market labeling it as a dividend, that they have rights to reward for that breach of fiduciary disclosure duty or a false representation of the within the prospectus.
Common origination and disbursement. Yeah. Or cash on delivery, but it's the common origination and disbursement.
Yes, because it's an official document.
Well, it's basically it's the disclosure to basically classify your either this is class A, class B, for a share or a stock. That's what it is.
Now, the interesting thing about that is then if they find that this prospectus was a breach, legal duty of the company, the board, Adam Aaron,
which is
always won, right? It would not only be a reward available to people who bought ape during its existence, but it would also be rewardable to every ape that was issued at the split it in two, because even don't matter how you owned ape at the time, that breach was against your ape. Doesn't matter how you acquired.
So, in other words, what they're trying to do is they're trying to basically declassify what ape originally was intended for, to go ahead and basically say that it was not the equivalent of 1-for-1 for the Class A.
And they're using a redefinition of the class of the reward by calling it a dividend to contradict directly with the fact they didn't get that dividend reward, like quote unquote dividend reward in equal parity to the Class A holders of the class at the time.
Correct. And so and just to kind of give the brief on this, what this does for the most part is that if you had ape, you should be rewarded then. That means if you did not sell your ape and you held it throughout, that you should be actually paid on that. Would you refuse that? No. I know you wouldn't. I know Chaotic wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. Especially if I bought or if I still was holding it throughout until it did its split.
Now, under the value of the ape at the time of the breach, right? And they're considering the breach of rights is anybody that owned it from August 25th issuance date. Well, actually from from its existence date, which
Which
was
would have
what,
been right after court, whenever that was. But go on.
right up until October post the reverse split merger. And the October is because the 35 settlement time on actual transfer of the merger of APE into AMC and the actual delivery clearance time frame. Which, if you go back to when we did the reverse split merger, right? It's funny that they use that time frame because that first 2 weeks of October was the exact time frame FINRA failed, absolutely failed retail in reporting any of the FTD data, any of the day-to-day short interest, any of the term period for that first half of October for short interest and short volume through period. And we had to wait a month for that.
Well,
So
here's the other problem that it directly affects, and like we talked about, this directly affects the DTCC because they weren't able to. They probably didn't issue out the correct amount of shares, or never had the correct amount to begin with.
Right. And they're also based on the reward damages that they're seeking, which I believe is 174 million.
Yeah.
Right. And that's based on the average VWAP for that period, which was 190 something, I forget.
It's high. Go on.
It was like, I think it was $1.94. It was $1.90 question mark.
Yeah.
Just go there. It was more than $1.90, less than $2.
That works.
But what you have to remember is that 175 million is based on the numbers that AMC has of ownership and what was out there at the time, including the dilution, which there was some dilution before the reverse split merger, which then got merged into Class A dilution later through the conversion. But what people failed to realize that 175 million ain't shit when that gets divvied out by ratio position per owner. So, like, somebody who owned 10 shares of it is going to get obviously far less than somebody that's getting a reward valuation based on owning 5,000 it.
Yeah.
And so when that money gets divvied out and you have mass quantities of divvied out portions to naked supply, you're diluting the per ratio issuance of what is justifiably supposed to be divvied out.
Correct.
And if institutions are holding the custodial right to that for forward, how much of that reward are they getting to keep as a ratio of the total, diluting the value that actual owners in street name, but not through their own custody, have no legal path to actually see what the divisor is to the total obligation values out there versus what the actual reward value is being valued at.
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't see how they can do that without directly affecting the DTCC.
Now, hypothetically speaking, because remember, this is only if the court actually
allows this
language of calling it a dividend and therefore making it a breach on the company in the prospectus disclosure. Right? Now, if the judge classes it, I don't care what the market classifies it as a dividend. It wasn't a dividend. It was a damages reward, just like Judge Zern said. And there were no damages by the company in their language because the only aspect of this that refers to this as a parity dividend issue that you had a right to is the market structure, because they didn't have another way to actually book it for their own bookkeeping records.
Correct. But the whole reason we're talking about this now is so we can get ahead of it. And the reason why that we're trying to get ahead of this now, and hence the reason why we're bringing this up beforehand, and I'm sure a lot of you, will want to listen to this again, but you have to understand, this is a way for them to work around the situation. It was the same exact thing when they were telling everybody, options are bad, options are bad, options are bad. And then who ends up controlling our options market? The market maker. Because we don't have options that are actually going out. So guess what? They took control of the actual option itself. So it's the same thing. It's just a ploy to get ahead.
The other thing is 175 million reward would come out of the company if rewarded, which comes off of your bottom line net value on the books, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
And
we're talking about hypothetical still.
Right. And so this is a way for them to try to do damage to our fundamentals to keep us from actually posting a net positive for a quarter or whatever. But the other thing is it's a can kick, because while we'd have to post that against our books if they were successful in getting this reward, insurance, just like the last time, would eventually end up forward covering that expense on the backside. So it'd only be a front loss for back recuperation later. So it's just another way for them to put a negative balance against our sheet for now, to try to kick the fundamental value realization later down the road, when we eventually would recoup that would be reward if court awarded, right? For who? Obviously, because they can't have us posting a positive net PE against their short position, because, well, that their whole argument is that we're not positive, net positive.
Matt, you need to. I'm forwarding this to you. You can go ahead and yell afterwards. I will give you the time to actually do that, because this just popped up in front of me, and this just absolutely, you will understand why I'm going to blow up here in the particular section later on here, but Matt, check your DM real quick, because this is just absolutely, in my eyes, aggravating as all hell. It really is, because this is going to get people in a position where it's not good. This is not what this is intended for. And this doesn't explain anything. It puts you in a bigger state of confusion. And Chaotic, I know I haven't said it to you, but you will understand here shortly why I'm going to be going off the way I'm about to here.
Okay. Well, I only have a little bit of time left because
it's getting late. I know, mama duties. I get it. But trust me, I do. And it was unfortunate that we had technical difficulties in the beginning of said show. But Matt, did you?
Hey, you know what? We made it. We did it.
Hey, we're alive. We're all set up now for future, and we're good. So, but listen, all of this stuff that was filed, everything that came forth today, has nothing to do about a merger or acquisition. None. And I don't want this out of context. I really don't. Because this is the type of shit that they want, is to, hey, let me throw out a bone. And here's your bone. Think of this idea. get you worked up on this idea, get you thinking about this nonstop, is so you're not looking at the original problem.
What is he talking about? The resale.
Exactly.
What the fuck is this? Is this a thing as a resale? What the fuck is that language?
I honestly don't know. But as of right now, this is going to segue into what we're going to be going over tonight. And with that, there you go.
And what are they talking about? The consent connection. These shares are likely related to the consent fees.
Your guess is absolutely.
They already had the consent in the last.
I mean,
in the last issuance debt restructure of the 27th. They put the 1.2 billion on hold for a later period, which this isn't that.
No.
I mean, this is just an extension of 17.74 million shares on the already. What they have 447 something million or something that they were registered
that they have available to them if they need.
Right. So
this is a perfect segue. This is a perfect segue.
Basically, they just opened themselves up to hit the market with 17.74 million shares. Is what it sounds like.
Sure does to me too. With that,
which is nothing.
Nothing. Zero. So we're going to go into this because you will understand why here in a little bit. AMC.
Wait, next document. Yeah, he's still looking for the definitive 8K announcement closing the 425 million. But that ain't supposed to close until April 6th. According to the prospectus for the set closing date, which is a cooling period between the deal being made and all the basically the parameters that need to be taken up to the time allotted up to the closing date in order to finalize everything.
This is a perfect segue. AMC, the financial sector crisis, a masterclass in criminality, manipulation, and the systematic betrayal of the people. There's a crisis brewing in the financial world, and if you're not already clued in, well, brace yourself. This isn't your typical economic downturn or market correction that the news stations peddle to lull the masses back into their comfortable stupor. Oh no. What we're witnessing is downright masterclass in manipulation, dishonesty, and the systemic failure of the very institutions that are supposed to protect the people. This isn't a hiccup. It's a full-blown catastrophe. And it's being orchestrated by the same financial elites who are supposed to have our backs. The powers that be, led by the Federal Reserve's Jerome Mr. Burns Powell and European central banks, and a host of other central banks elites are steering the global financial ship straight into the iceberg. And not only do they not care, they are hoping we don't notice until it's too late. So now, don't get me wrong, these so-called financial experts and central bank governors love to pat themselves on the back for their incredible market wisdom. Jerome Mr. Burns Powell, for example, gets paraded around like a hero for saving us from some financial crisis that his policies actually helped create. Sure, lower interest rates, a flood of money into the system, and a constant mantra of everything is fine might sound nice on paper, but let's break it down for a moment. These policies are like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Instead of fixing the actual problem, massive wealth inequity, an overinflated market, and a reckless financial system, they're doing what they do best, maintaining the status quo so that the wealthy stay wealthy and everyone else is left holding the bag. But here's the thing. The system is rigged. this game isn't about providing equal opportunity for all. It's about keeping the rich in their palaces while the rest of us are left scrambling for crumbs. How do they do it? Simple. They print money like it's candy, inject it into markets, and create bubbles. These bubbles aren't just some theatrical concept. No, they're real, and they have real consequences. Take a look at the stock market. The Financial Reserve's so-called quantitative easing has inflated asset prices across the board. We're talking about real estate, stocks, bonds, you name it. But the average Joe, the worker who's toiling away, can't even dream of participating in this wealth accumulation. Meanwhile, billionaires are getting richer by the day. And the truth is, if you have enough money and connections, you can get away with crime. And the whole financial game? Well, it's proof of it. Let's talk about the money printing for a moment, shall we? The Federal Reserve, alongside other central banks, has been printing money at an unprecedented rate. According to the Federal Reserve's own data, the M2 money supply, basically the measure of all money circulating in the economy, has grown by nearly 40% since 2020. That's right. Nearly 40 fucking percent. And what's the effect of all this? Newly minted cash flooding the system? Well, the obvious one is inflation. But the less obvious, yet far more damaging consequence is that all of this is easy money ends up propping up assets, making the already rich even richer, while everyone else is left behind. It's like playing Monopoly, where the rich players are allowed to keep buying property without paying rent. And the rest of us, we can't even afford to pass go. So, and don't think this is some accident or byproduct of unforeseen circumstances. No, this is deliberate. It's the same central banks, these so-called independent entities like the Federal Reserve and the ECB, that are creating this mess. They know what they're doing. They've been at it for years. Jerome Mr. Burns Powell, in particular, has been the mastermind behind the whole strategy, cutting interest rates at near zero levels, ensuring that corporations and the ultra-wealthy can borrow money at almost no cost. And while that may seem like a good thing on the surface, it's actually a massive scam. Why? Because it artificially inflates the economy, creates asset bubbles, and leaves the little guy with nothing. You can build real wealth when your hard-earned money is worth less and less each day, thanks to inflation. Meanwhile, the financial institutions that Mr. Burns Powell and his pals at the Fed love to protect are playing a different game altogether. Banks are too big to fail. The idea behind this is simple. These financial institutions have so much influence that if they go down, the whole system will come crashing down. So what do? They make reckless bets with taxpayer money, knowing that if things go south, the government will step in and bail them out. A great example of this was 2008's financial crisis, where Wall Street got its bailout and the middle class got the bill. But guess what? The too big to fail mantra didn't go away after the crisis. No, it's alive and well, and it's playing out in real time. The Federal Reserve is, once again, bailing out these banks and corporations, all while leaving the average American to foot the bill. But here's where it gets even more interesting. You think that after printing all this money and inflating asset bubbles to the moon, the central banks would have some way of managing the fallout. But guess what? They don't. They have no idea what's coming. They're like a pilot flying a plane without a map, just hoping they don't crash into a mountain. We've already seen the warning signs: rising oil prices, inflation hitting an average consumer hard, and now the Federal Reserve and other central banks tightening their policies. Finally, some action, a bet too little, too late. we're about to witness a crash of epic proportions. Oil prices are soaring, inflation is rampant, and the central banks are scrambling to undo the damage they've caused. But here's the punchline. It's already too late. They've already propped up the markets for far too long, and now, when the crash finally comes, it's going to be catastrophic. The worst part, the government is complicit. They're not just letting this happen, they're directly involved in it. The Federal Reserve, the central banks, and the government have been working hand in hand to make sure that the wealthy stay on top while the rest of us suffer. If they cared about you and me, they'd be enacting policies and actually help the people. But no. They've got their backs against the wall, protecting the rich and corporations and hoping we don't notice. The government has sold us out. They've chosen their side. And it's not with the people. They'll let us take the fall, just as they've done time and time again. This whole financial system is a rigged game. And the ones pulling the strings, they're playing by different rules that don't apply to the rest of us. This crisis is not a glitch. It's the system working exactly how it was designed. The truth is, if you got money, you can get away with murder. And the more money you have, the less the system seems to care. The rest of us, well, we're left holding the bill while the elites make off with our wealth, laughing all the way to the bank. How incentives work for the rich. Give them tax breaks, give them bonuses, give them stock options, give them perks and goodies and privileges. For the poor, take away their food. The Federal Reserve's making the rich richer while you get to watch. The Federal Reserve, the so-called independent central bank that's supposedly in place to protect our economy, keep inflation in check, and make sure that the little guy gets a fair shake. Or, well, at least that's what the textbooks and the politicians would have you believe. In reality, the Fed under Jerome, Mr. Burns Powell, has become a little more than a glorified ATM for the ultra-wealthy, a puppet show designed to give you the appearance of an economic stability, while behind the scenes it inflates assets, bubbles to the moon, enriches the top 1%, and leaves the rest of us struggling to keep up. We're going to break it down. Why not, shall we? The Federal Reserve's primary goal is to control inflation and keep the economy running smoothly. But how do they do that? Well, for the last decade or so, Mr. Burns Powell and his cronies have employed a little something called quantitative easing, or QE. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Quantitative easing. Like some soothing medical treatment for an ailing economy. But spoiler alert, it's not a cure, it's a cover-up. Quantitative easing is simply a fancy term for pumping money into an economy by buying up financial assets like government bonds, so the system has more liquidity, and in theory, it boosts economic activity. Here's the catch. The money the Fed creates doesn't go into the pockets of the regular folk like you and me. It goes straight to corporate elites, big banks, and wealthy investors. These are the people who are actually benefiting when the Fed buys up assets. After all, they own the stocks, bonds, and real estate that are all propped up by this endless cycle of quantitative easing. Meanwhile, the average person is left watching as housing prices soar out of reach and stock markets bubbles inflate to unsustainable levels. But don't worry, while you're struggling to make ends meet, the billionaires, they're doing just fine. They're sitting pretty, watching their wealth grow exponentially thanks to the policies that were literally made with their best interests in mind. Here's the math. that the media conveniently forgets to highlight when they sing Mr. Burns Powell's praises. The Fed has expanded its balance sheet by a mind-blowing $7 trillion since COVID. Yeah, $7 trillion since COVID began. You read that right. $7 trillion. What does that mean in real terms? Well, it means that Powell and his buddies have been pumping up values of stocks, bonds, and other assets at an obscene rate. According to data from the Federal Reserve, U.S. household net worth has increased by over $35 trillion since the pandemic began. But guess who's reaping the majority of those gains? Spoiler alert, it's not you. In fact, according to the Federal Reserve's own statistics, the top 1% of Americans own more than 40% of the total wealth in this country. So while Powell's policies have inflated the markets, it's the wealthiest Americans who are laughing all the way to their private jets. But let's keep going, because this circus isn't over just yet. You see, while the rich are swimming in pools of cash, the average American is stuck in quicksand. Powell and the Fed have essentially made it impossible for the average person to save money or build wealth in a meaningful way. The interest rates, practically zero for a while. It was like the Fed was offering free money, but instead of getting a check, you're getting hit with a record low return on savings accounts. The money you have put in your savings accounts, well, it barely keeping up with inflation, which, by the way, is running rampant thanks to all the extra cash in the system. Meanwhile, you're told to save for the future as the stock market soars to new heights, heavily tilted in the favor of the rich, and housing prices go through the roof. So let's talk about housing for a moment. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median home price in the U.S. has more than doubled over the past decade. The average home price in 2021, $347,500, up from $173,000 in 2010. That's a pretty nice chunk of change, right? But who's exactly benefiting from this? Certainly not the people working 2 jobs to make ends meet. No! The massive price inflation benefits those with the capital to buy up real estate, sit on it, and sell it, and then profit down the road. Those who own homes are watching their property values skyrocket, while those who don't can only dream of affording a place of their own. So much for the American dream, huh? The Fed, led by Mr. Burns Powell, is doing exactly what it was designed to do: serve the interest of the wealthy. Meanwhile, the Fed continues to give a free pass to the wealthiest among us. And if you're wondering whether it's just some fluke or result of market forces that the Fed can't control, let me break it down for you. It's by design. The Fed, led by Mr. Burns Powell, is doing exactly what it was designed to do: serve the interest of the wealthy. The real kicker is that the average person, the so-called middle class, is stuck in a cycle of rising debt, stagnating wages, and no real hope of participating in the economic recovery. You're told to invest in the stock market, but you don't have the capital to buy in when prices are high. And by the time you do, the wealthy elites have already cashed out. Let's not forget the cherry on top of this financial dumpster fire: the corporate bailouts. Whenever a major financial institution or corporation hits a bump in the road, guess who's there to bail them out? That's right, the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government, all on your dime. Why? Because the Fed and the government have a vested interest in protecting the too-big-to-fail players. These financial giants are so deeply integrated into the economy that letting them fail would supposedly ruin the system. So what do they do instead? They hand out bailouts and stimulus packages to the very people who caused the mess in the first place. It's a cruel joke. The working class gets the crumbs while the wealthy get a feast. And who's at the center of all of it? Jerome Mr. Burns Powell and the Federal Reserve. They've created a system where the rich get richer, the middle class is squeezed dry, and the poor are left to fight over whatever's left. And the worst part? This isn't some tragic accident. It's by design. Mr. Burns Powell's policies have created a financial system that benefits only one group, the wealthy elite. And the rest of us, we're just here to pick up the pieces while they sit back and enjoy the ride. So the next time you hear Jerome Mr. Powell patting himself in the back for saving the economy, remember this. While he was inflating asset bubbles and throwing money at Wall Street, the rest of us were left to deal with the fallout. You can't save the economy by giving all the money to the top 1%. That's not salvation, that's robbery. And Powell's the one holding the bag. But we're going to get into, number 2. Central banks, the puppet master of global chaos, and you're the puppet. Well. Let's zoom out and take a good, hard look at the grand circus happening on a global scale. The central banks, those so-called guardians of economic stability, aren't just meddling with the U.S. economy. No. They're pulling the strings on the entire world. The European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, and the Bank of England, they're all in on it, playing the same twisted game. Their method, keep interest rates low, flood the markets with cash, and watch the rich get richer while the middle and lower classes get stuck holding the empty bag. And let's not fool ourselves. It's not just the Federal Reserve pulling this scam. The ECB is deep in this too. They've propped up Europe's struggling economies while the wealthiest 1% lap up the benefits of their reckless policies. These central banks have flooded the global economy with trillions of dollars in stimulus money, driving the asset prices, inflating bubbles, and exacerbating wealth inequities at an unprecedented rate. What's the result of all this? Well, the rich get to buy up all the assets while the average person who's struggling with sky-high rents and stagnant wages watches it all from the sidelines. Welcome to the world of financial manipulation where the rules are rigged and you're the one losing out. Let's take a look at the scope of this mess. Ever heard of Deutsche Bank? Of course you have. It's one of the biggest players in this entire global financial circus. And its recent reports should send chills down your spine. According to Deutsche Bank's research, we're witnessing a massive oil shock. A shock that you're not being properly priced into the markets. Normally, when oil prices rise, equities, stocks, shares, they tend to fall. This makes sense. Higher oil prices means higher transportation costs, higher input costs for everything, and increased inflation. You'd think that would hurt stocks, right? Well, this time something's off. Oil has risen by nearly 47%. And what's the response from the stock market? A measly 5% drop. What? Yeah, that's right. While oil prices are skyrocketing, the stock market is barely flinching. Does that sound like a healthy market to you? Or does it sound like everyone is ignoring the real risk of living in some fantasy world? Let's break it down in a way that's even your Aunt Patty can understand. Historically, when oil prices rise, they do so at about 26.9% on average over a 14-day period. And equities, the stock market, usually drops by around 6%. But right now, oil has surged by 46.6%. which is nearly double the historical average. And the stock market has only dropped by 5%. So what's happening here? The markets are out of sync with reality? They're treating this like just another geopolitical scare? But the numbers tell a different story. If oil is correctly pricing in the risk, then stock prices are still way too high. If oil prices stay at these elevated levels, stocks will eventually have to play catch up. Matt, you know I was documenting the Strategic Oil Reserve for a good year and a half.
Yeah, and the really interesting aspect of the market is that you still have the Magnificent Seven in the tech sector that's propping up the entire market, and they're the most energy dependent sector in the market out there.
Correct. So this is where the numbers actually come into play, which is hilarious in itself. If oil prices go up by $37 per barrel, that's an additional $3.7 billion in daily cost across the globe. So $3.7 billion every single day. And guess what? The cost doesn't just stay in the energy sector. It spreads throughout the entire economy. Rising transportation costs, driving up the prices of goods, putting pressure on business profit margins. Inflation will spike. And guess who bears the brunt end of that? Not the billionaires who with their private jets and yachts. It's you and me, the average person, struggling to fill up the tank or buy groceries. And here's where where the math really starts to hit hard. For every 10% increase in oil prices, global GDP growth can be reduced by about 0.2%. But wait, oil prices have gone up almost 47%. So if we apply the rule of thumb, we're looking at a 0.7% to a 0.9% hit to the global GDP growth. That's right, the entire percentage point of growth could be wiped out, and it's going to have a ripple effect across every part of the economy. Do you feel that? That's the sound of an economy starting to slow down, while the central banks stand on the sidelines desperately trying to paper over the cracks. But we're just getting started. Let's talk about the stock market, the so-called barometer of the economy. The U.S. stock market is currently valued at around $69 trillion. That's trillion with a T. We're talking about a market that's larger than the GDP of most countries. Now, a 5% drop in the market wipes out $3.45 trillion. Poof, gone, just like that. But wait, it gets better. If the market drops another 1%, that's an additional $690 billion down the drain. And let's not kid ourselves. This is just the beginning. The longer oil prices stay elevated and the more central banks flood the system with cheap money, the more distorted these markets will become. So what does that mean for you? It means all of the so-called gains in your retirement account, your 401k, your investment portfolio could be wiped out in an instant. Snap. Gone. It's a house of cards, and the wind starting to pick up. You might be wondering, how does this all tie back to central banks? Well, that's pretty simple. The central banks, like the Federal Reserve and the ECB, are flooding the system with money to keep the economy afloat. But here's the catch. All of that money isn't going to help the average person. It's going straight to the top. The stock market gets inflated. The rich get richer. The rest of us get stuck with the bill. These central banks are acting like the puppet masters behind the curtain, pulling the strings and making sure that the wealthy stay on top. The problem is, the show is about to end, and when the curtain falls, the people at the top will be sitting on piles of cash while everyone else gets left behind. In short, we're witnessing a massive wealth transfer on a global scale. The central banks are inflating bubbles, manipulating markets, and creating a system where the rich continue to get richer while the rest of us get squeezed. The whole thing is unsustainable, but that's the game they're playing. And as long as you're sitting at the table, you're going to keep losing. So get comfortable because things are about to get a whole lot fucking messier before the music stops. And when it does, don't say we didn't warn you. I'm very sorry to tell you that you only have 6 months to live. Well, oh my God, what should I do? Marry an accountant. Will that make me live longer? No. It'll just feel that way. Ha. Japan, the world's biggest debt holder, now blowing up its own financial party. Japan, the land of the samurai, sushi, and massive financial chaos. Who would have thought that Japan, a country that holds the title of being the world's largest holder of U.S. treasuries, would be the one to set off the global financial time bomb? Guess what? That's exactly what's happening. The country that has been hoarding U.S. debt like it's going out of style is now facing a dire situation. And the Bank of Japan is scrambling like a firefighter trying to put out a blaze with a garden hose. So why are we suddenly paying attention to Japan's financial situation? Because the Bank of Japan, which has been the puppet master behind Japan's economic strategy for years, is now backed into a corner. It is all because of a little thing called yield curve control. Policy that has been in place for decades to control long-term interest rates and stabilize the economy. For years, the Bank of Japan has been effectively keeping interest rates at rock-bottom levels by buying vast amounts of government bonds. The idea was simple: keep rates low to stimulate growth and prevent deflation. The problem is, it's all starting to unravel. And guess who's going to get burned when it does? You and me and everyone who isn't sitting on a mountain of yen or U.S. treasuries. Now, here's the kicker. The Bank of Japan has been sitting on a massive pile of U.S. treasury bonds to the tune of about $1.1 trillion. That's another T for trillion for anyone who thinks this is some small potatoes. So what happens when Japan starts selling off these assets? Well, it's not just a small shift in financial markets. Oh no, it's a full-on liquidity crisis in the making. Japan is dumping a staggering $600 billion worth of foreign assets, including U.S. treasuries. And where do you think all that money's going to go? Straight out of the pockets of the global financial system and into the financial black hole? The U.S. markets, the same ones that the Federal Reserve is desperately trying to keep afloat, are about to feel the shockwaves. We're talking about massive destabilization, people. The kind that shocks the kind of shock that hits the system like a wrecking ball, making the 2008 financial crisis look like a warm-up drill, or a blip on the radar, or a crumpet. Let's put this in layman's terms. When the Bank of Japan unloads $600 billion and dumps all of these U.S. treasuries, it creates a giant hole in the bond market. And guess who's going to fall into that hole? The U.S. Treasury market itself. Treasuries, which were once seen as the safest of safe assets, and are suddenly less desirable. As demand for treasuries dry up, interest rates climb, and the cost of borrowing goes up. This increases the strain of U.S. government's finances. Yes, the same government that already is swimming in a $31 trillion national debt pool. But it doesn't stop there. As bond prices fall and yields rise, the stock market will inevitably take a hit as well. It's a vicious cycle of rising rates, falling prices, and a whole lot of pain for everyone involved. But here's... I'm not done. There's more. Not only are Japan's actions threatening the stability of the U.S. bond market, but the timing couldn't be worse. As Japan sells off all these treasuries, we're also staring down a geopolitical storm that's brewing in the Middle East. The U.S.-Iran situation is escalating, and oil prices are spiking. Oh, and did I mention that Japan imports nearly 80% of its oil? That's right, 80%. So as oil prices climb, Japan's energy costs go through the roof, making it even harder for the country to maintain economic stability.
Quick adage.
Go ahead.
70% of that 80% comes through the Hormuz Canal.
That's even better. It's like a slow motion car crash that's about to collide with a train full of unstable financial assets. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, it's simple. When Japan's financial system starts to wobble, the global economy feels the tremors. If the Bank of Japan continues to sell off U.S. treasuries, we're going to see an avalanche of problems ripple through the global financial system. Interest rates will rise, the U.S. dollar will weaken, and the global debt market will face a massive reset. That's not just some abstract theory, it's happening right now. We are on the precipice of a liquidity crisis that is going to make the current global financial system look like a house of cards built on quicksand. And let's not forget the chain reaction this sets off. If Japan starts dumping its U.S. treasuries, other countries will likely follow suit. Why? Because Japan holds the largest share of foreign debt in the U.S. So, when the Bank of Japan sells, it sends signals to other nations. Hey, maybe we should start unloading our treasuries too. Huh? Funny. Suddenly, the U.S. government debt crisis isn't just its problem anymore. It's a global problem. Countries that have relied on treasuries as a safe haven for their foreign reserves are now going to be looking for other places to park their money. And where will they go? That's the billion-dollar question. This entire mess, this ticking bomb, time bomb, and we're just standing around waiting for it to go off. The thing is, Japan's financial implosion isn't some far-off disaster. It's already happening. And as they desperately try to control the damage, the ripple effect will be felt across the world. When the dust settles and the global economy will be left scrambling to pick up the pieces, and guess who's going to be left holding that bag? That's right, you, the average person. While the elites try to sweep the damage under the rug, you'll be left dealing with the fallout. The inflation, the higher interest rates, and the economic pain. So buckle up. Japan's about to blow up its own financial party. And when it does, we're all going to feel the blast. It's a mess of their own making. But don't worry, the rich will be just fine. The rest of us, well, we'll just be the ones left cleaning up the wreckage. Enjoy the show, because it's about to get real ugly real fucking fast. Fortunes are being made in auto stocks. Get hold of some by now at Bedrock before the coming rise in price of Drexel shares. The Drexel is Chicago's only big, going successful motor car factory. Don't forget that. They didn't make it a year. SpaceX IPO. The greatest heist you've never heard of. And you're paying for it. Oh, but wait. While the global financial system is teetering on the edge of a collapse, there's something much more nefarious happening behind the curtain. The SpaceX IPO, which, if you don't know, is shaping up to be the largest wealth transfer scheme in history. Yeah. And it's disguised as an IPO. Yes, the very same SpaceX that has made headlines with its ambitious Mars plans and intergalactic aspirations is now about to take you for the ride. But this time, the ride is straight into your pocketbook. SpaceX is reportedly planning to launch an IPO with a target valuation of $1.75 trillion. That's a trillion with a T. To put that in perspective, that would make SpaceX the 6th largest company in America on its very first day of trading, surpassing giants like Google and Facebook. But don't get too excited, because the way they're going about it isn't to give the average investor a seat at the table. Oh no. Instead, SpaceX and its friends at NASDAQ are working overtime to cook up a plan to make sure only a select few walk away with all the wealth. Interesting. So, what's the game? NASDAQ, ever eager to make money off of a high-profile IPO, is willing to bend its rules, and by bend, I mean snap them in half for SpaceX. Get this. NASDAQ has proposed a new rule that would allow any company with a market cap in the top 40 of the NASDAQ 100 to be added to the index after just 15 trading days. That's right. 15 days. No seasoning period, no liquidity requirements, nothing. It's like having a VIP pass to an exclusive club while the rest of the crowd is left waiting in line. The reason? Simple. SpaceX wants in. So they're going to make sure the rules are changed just enough to get them the fast track into the NASDAQ 100. After all, why not change the entire game to ensure the already wealthy get wealthier, right?
You know what the biggest bullshit of that is? For a company to actually offer market shares to raise cash, their VWAP window is longer than the NASDAQ requirement now for bending the Tesla exposure rules to basically allow index to prop up IPO pricing.
How about this? It gets even better. But here's where it gets even juicier. The NASDAQ is also proposing a 5x float multiplier for stocks with a low float. What's a float, you ask? Well, in simple terms, a float refers to the number of shares of a company that are available for trading on the open market. SpaceX, at the time of its IPO, plans to release only 5% of its shares to the public. That's it. The other 95%...
Which means the rest is going to be on total shares, which include restricted shares.
The other 95% will remain in the hands of insiders. You know, the early investors, executives, and Musk himself. But the NASDAQ proposal says, hey, let's make this even more ridiculous by giving SpaceX a 5x multiplier on the low float. That is the bullshit part. Matt, I can only imagine you fucking stopping right now.
They're margin creating money out of thin air to create a deadable market cap value for the company to at a thin air.
So we're going to do some quick math real quick. SpaceX is aiming for a $1.75 trillion valuation, but with only 5% of its shares available for trading. That means only $87.5 billion worth of stock will actually be available to the public. However, thanks to the NASDAQ 5X float multiplier, SpaceX will be weighted as though it's a $437.5 billion company. That means the market will treat SpaceX like it's 5 times as big as it actually is, artificially inflating its value and pushing up the stock price. Guess who gets the benefit from this inflated price? Spoiler alert, it's not you. The insiders, those holding the 95% of the shares, get to sell their overvalued stock into the market at a massively inflated
They're not
price.
going to sell it into the market. What they're going to do is use it as an asset value for pledging against debt. So what they'll do is they'll borrow against the value of their position as opposed to liquidating their position.
So here's where it gets absolutely insane. The NASDAQ index funds, which are essentially passive investment vehicles that track the NASDAQ 100, are going to be forced to buy SpaceX overvalued stock. That's right. These massive funds, which control hundreds of billions of dollars, will have no choice but to buy into SpaceX at whatever price the market demands. This means that the passive investors, that's you, if you're in an index fund or an ETF tracking the NASDAQ, will be the ones left holding the bag. You'll be buying SpaceX stock at an artificially high prices that insiders like Musk and his buddies have already cashed out of. And for what? For nothing. Mic drop. That's a $1.75 trillion valuation that will be based on absolutely fucking nothing other than the artificial manipulation of the market to benefit insiders. You'll be paying top dollar for a company that's just a shell of what its valuation promises to be. And when the locked up period expires, when the insiders can sell their shares without restrictions, guess who gets the cash out of those inflated prices? The insiders again. You get left with the scraps at the stock price tumbles back to reality. But it gets even worse when you zoom out. The entire indexing system, the very system that has been touted as the holy grail of passive investing, is being completely hijacked. The whole point of indexing is that it reflects the real market value of a company. When companies enter an index, they're supposed to be a true representation of the market weighted by the actual number of shares available for trading. But here's NASDAQ throwing out the rules to make sure SpaceX can join the club by artificially inflating its value. That's right, the index itself is being manipulated to benefit a select group of insiders. The whole system is being bent and broken for one fucking IPO. And if you're not mad, you should be. Because this is everything that you've been fighting for the last 5.5, 6 years.
And the worst part about this is they don't even really need SEC's approval to do it. But where's the SEC in stepping in on their own accord and saying, hold up?
Sleeping as the watchdog. So who loses in this charade? The average everyday investor. You know, the ones who thought they were playing by the rules, investing in ways that was supposed to be safe and reliable, but instead, you're being used as a tool to transfer wealth from your pockets into the hands of the already wealthy elites. SpaceX gets to artificially inflate its value and squeeze every last dime out of the passive investor like you, who have no say in the matter. So let's summarize this circus, shall we? SpaceX is planning to raise $1.75 trillion with a 5% float, thanks to NASDAQ's fast track entry and the 5x float multiplier. This is a massive wealth transfer from the average investor to the insiders, the very same ones who have had access to SpaceX's shares since its early days. NASDAQ is rewriting the rules, bending over backwards to help one company inflate its value, and they're doing it at the expense of the public. Meanwhile, insiders will cash out, and passive investors will be left holding the overpriced bag. In short, SpaceX IPO isn't just an IPO. It's a wealth extraction scheme. So buckle up, because while everyone's busy marveling at SpaceX's shiny rockets, they're completely missing the real launch. The launch of one of the greatest financial heists in history. And guess who's paying for it? You are. And it gets worse. NASDAQ is proposing a 5x multiplier for stocks with low floats, meaning that SpaceX, with just 5% of its shares available for trading, would be weighted as if it were a $437.5 billion company. This would force passive funds to buy into SpaceX at artificially inflated prices, benefiting only the insiders who own the other 95% of the shares. Don't say I didn't warn you. So this gets into what I was saying earlier about how this one person who goes ahead and shoots out a tweet talking about absolute nonsense because it's based upon what? Nothing. And I'm going to show you why. Right now. The market is a playground. But guess what? There's always a winner and a loser. In the world of AMC-related discussions on social media, messages from influential posters like Nachi and John Hampton combine technical jargon, dramatic language, and selective facts. Retail investors can easily be confused by these narratives, so it's essential to examine each statement carefully, highlight where spin is applied, and explain the underlying market realities. Let's start with Nachi's tweets. Adam Aaron fucked the bond smut naked swap operation. This phrasing is dramatic and misleading. The actual event was a debt refinancing and conversion process, a standard corporate procedure that allows companies to restructure obligations and improve liquidity. There is no secret naked swap operation at play. The idea that AMC CEO Adam Aaron engaged in some kind of manipulative, underhanded swap operation is a misleading of the financial process that's involved. Debt refinancing and conversions are regular practices that corporations use to manage debt, improve balance sheets, and ensure financial stability. There is no secret swap, just a legitimate attempt to manage AMC's financial health in a tough market. Number two, whitewash the balance sheet. In accounting, improving a balance sheet through debt conversion or repayment is normal and transparent. The tweet exaggerates its... Let me rephrase that. The tweet exaggerates it to imply illicit manipulation when a company restructures its debt or takes action to improve its balance sheet. This is a common and accepted business practice. It is not a nefarious cover-up, but rather an attempt to stabilize finances and continue operations. He paid the $6 million fee to remove the at-the-money restrictions, enabling a complete equity swap that allowed the debt to transition to traditional bank financing. this is factual in essence. Fees for lifting restrictions and transitioning debt are standard parts of corporate financing. Though the tweets frame it as a secret maneuver, removing restrictions on an at-the-market facility and transitioning debt to bank financing is a typical corporate strategy used to streamline operations and reduce risk. It's not a shady tactic. Apes are the exit. It's why, since the bondholder meeting, the only thing they could do was drive the price down as close as possible to the deep out-of-the-money puts. Well, they've been leveraging in the bond yield-driven naked short operation. This overstates the influence of retail investors, apes, and misrepresents how short positions work. Retail investors participate in the market like any other shareholder. There is no special exit strategy for them. The idea that the retail investors are somehow using their position to force bondholders into a corner is a misunderstanding of the roles involved. Bondholders are creditors who lend money to AMC and have legal protections to ensure they are repaid. They cannot be screwed over by retail investors or the CEO. Bondholders are more concerned with securing their investment and ensuring that the company survives, especially in volatile markets. These prices of stocks do not magically drive down because retail trading decisions, they are reflection of market supply and demand, with the company's financial actions playing a key role.
Add to that, if you understand the debtor's role in securitizing, ensuring that they have covenants to cover debts like cash restrictions or equity-backed collateral exercisable value rights, right, also fall in terms of asset liquidation like profitable theaters and lien classification across debt holder different bond levels, right? First lien, second lien, is guaranteer rights of first claim to second claim to third claim leftovers, right, to the point of crumbs. So a lot of this restructuring is re-evaluating the value of the assets that are collateralized under the debt, which don't exceed or doesn't go below the needed collateral value of insurance against a debt, but also can be higher evaluated and create higher value for less theaters needed as collateral, which frees up assets to take on new debt to new first lien issuers. So consolidating all of this through reevaluations, which was one of the main reasons they got a higher rating grade for this new debt structure with the pending $1.2 billion future reissuance offer for restructure. Is part of this new deal, which, I mean, you can refer to it as whitewashing if you want, but like you said, it's standard bookkeeping.
It's standard accounting
by a company that's in a transition from what AMC was as a fundamental liability to where it's headed in the near term on its balance sheet.
I'm going to give you one more thing. It makes it real simple. It gives AMC the ability to structure their debt payments themselves and don't have to worry about the debt. Don't have to worry about collecting money to pay for the debt because it's going to be in a better position. They can weather the storms now. That's what this new loan is. That's why they're getting the new loan. The operation is blown up, and now they must settle matters they thought they would never have to settle. This is a dramatic statement implying imminent crisis. In reality, these are ordinary corporate financial adjustments with no extraordinary risk to retail shareholders. Next, I'm examining John Hempton's tweet to the retail investor. The amount in dark pools is a function of retail. You buy on Robinhood, it winds up in a dark pool. Hedge funds do not direct to dark pools. Retail does. This is largely factual. Dark pools are privately traded venues where orders are routed to reduce market impact. Retail orders sometimes flow through them, which is a standard market mechanic. You are right to think that the stock is manipulated. It has been for years. All the ladder attacks, barcoding, etc. have been obvious, and your eyes are not deceiving you. This statement acknowledges real volatility and complex trading patterns. Ladder attacks involve rapidly selling of legitimate shares to pressure the stock price and occur in many markets. They are not necessarily signs of illegal manipulation by executives. Retail has bought the original float many times over. You are right on that math. Factually correct. Retail trading can exceed initial public float in cumulative transactions over time. You are wrong about naked shorts. Failed to delivers are rare and small. The shares being sold in these ladder attacks are real shares. Mostly accurate. Naked short selling is uncommon and usually illegal. Most of downward pressure comes from legitimate share transactions. We established the ladder attacks required real shares. People have been selling real shares in ladder attacks in dark pools for some time. Where did they get the shares? Well, CEO Adam, who is on the short side, has been giving them out to run at the money. He has increased the share count 20x. Retail has bought the share count 20x, but the shares are fine because CEO Adam will keep giving manipulators shares to ladder attack the stock with. Huh?
That's my dum-dum of the week right there. Is that he confirmed everything that we're saying is right, but then defended it as not manipulation and not naked delivery obligation because they diluted the float. Where does he get the 20x dilution number?
I don't know. Here's a tweet.
20 times the float? From what?
He misrepresents normal share issuance as aiding shorts. In reality, AMC issued shares to raise capital, a standard corporate financing activity, not to facilitate trading against retail.
Which is exactly why Antera got fucking sued and AMC got a settlement out of it.
Correct. The only way to stop this is to fire CEO Adam, but the apes are divided on this issue. Some love him, some hate him. Unless the apes can be together strong, they will lose. You're an ape, that means you will lose. This is a psychological framing designed to induce fear and division amongst the retail investor, rather than a factual market statement. By dissecting both sets of statements line by line, it becomes clear that social media narratives often blend facts, exaggeration, and psychological framing. Key concepts like dark pools, ladder attack, naked shorts, balance sheet adjustments, and pre-merger activity have precise meanings and mechanics. Dark pools are just alternative trading venues. Ladder attacks involve rapid selling of real shares. Naked shorts are rare and generally illegal. Balance sheet whitewashing refers to normal financial restructuring. Pre-merger activity is routine preparation for acquisitions.
Another misnotation there is and I stress this a lot over the years, and I get tired of having to always bring back to this point. All dark pools are ATSs.
And that's separated by every single
Not
prime
all
broker.
ATSs are dark pool.
No.
And they're using dark pools.
Correct.
Not ATSs. Dark pools are completely dark. Nobody has any idea. They never hit the fucking tape. It's internalization, all that. It's arbitrary for any cycle window, right? Play before it ever gets to fruition, or even at that point, it gets wash rolled over into options, total return swaps, offshoring, and everything else that we talk about. So I always stress that when people say dark pool, you need to be more specific. Are you saying ATS, alternative trading system, dark pool / dark pool, which aren't really dark? They're only temporarily dark till it gets tape tracked on the ticker tape, right? Or are you saying legitimate, true dark pools?
So
Because we should be using ATS and dark pool as two completely different entities, not one and the same. And for him to say that ATS is dark pool, no, it's not. Not in the dark pool in the legitimate meaning of what true dark pool is.
correct. This is why I made this for you guys. Here's the misleading tweets. Here's the key definitions and the mechanics that are in the middle. Fact versus fiction. Here's an infograph for you. So this way you guys can go ahead, take a picture of this, screen share it. I don't care. But I made it for you guys so that this way you have it, so you understand it. Here are the definitions. So this way there's no question. This is exactly why I dedicate so much time breaking down the mechanics behind the markets, because let's face it, if you buy into the hype and misdirection coming from posts like these, you're basically setting yourself up for a reality check. And trust me, it won't be pretty. People will sell you false hope, sugarcoat the volatility, and weave stories of conspiracies. But we're not about that life here. The truth is, knowing the ins and outs of the market mechanics gives you something even more powerful than hope, and that is control. Understanding how things really work, like dark pools and ladder attacks, isn't just for the suits in the boardroom. It's for the everyday investors who aren't afraid to look past the drama and make decisions based on facts, not fear. So while everyone else is out there shouting, checkmate, remember, real power in the markets come from knowing what's really going on. And that is why in every financial event, there are always the same number of winners as there are losers. Always. This is why it's critical to understand the game. The odds are always stacked the same, no matter how loud the cheer gets. If you don't want to fall for the next round of naked swap operations nonsense, you're going to need to understand how the game is actually played. And trust me, it's not as glamorous as the stories they sell. That's why here at the... Sorry. Here at the Ciel's Kitchen. And in this world of twisted financial narratives, we keep it real, no fluff, just facts. So in the world of AMC-related discussion on social media, messages from influential posters like Nachi and John Hampton, combined technical jargon, dramatic language, and selective facts, retail investors can easily be confused by these narratives. So it is essential to examine each statement carefully, highlight where the spin is applied, and explain the underlying market realities. My final word. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be loud. I am aggravated beyond aggravated. I really am. With a lot of this. The game is rigged. And it's time to wake the fuck up and take action. Enough is enough. I've had it. We've all had it. Over the last few years, we've been told time and time again by this administration, the last administration, and the ones before it, and the ones before that, that they're going to fix this, that they're going to make everything better. But here we are, staring down the barrel of an economic disaster, watching the same people who promised to help us make their way to the top of the food chain, while we're left standing at the bottom. It's a punch in the gut, isn't it? We were told that the system would be fixed, that the markets would be stable, that everyone would have a fair chance. But what we've got instead is a rigged game, and it's getting harder to ignore the reality of all of it. When are we going to finally say enough is enough? How many more bailouts? How many more empty promises? How many more failed attempts at fixing things will it take before we realize that these people aren't working for us? They're working for themselves. You think things are going to change just because they say it will? Wake the fuck up. It's clear as day that the elites have made their decision, and you're not a part of the club. They've rigged the system so that they profit while the rest of us get crushed. We're told to trust the system, trust the experts, trust the central banks and government officials who are supposed to protect us. But here's the truth. They've been helping themselves all along and blaming us for their failures. Think about it. The banks, market makers, hedge funds, family offices, they've been stealing your hard-earned money for years. They've done it in ways so blatant that it's almost laughable. They've manipulated the markets, inflated bubbles, and raked in millions while you're left to deal with the fallout. And the kicker, when their schemes come crashing down, guess who they point to? Us, the everyday person, the retail trader, the one who is trying to make a living. They have the audacity to blame you for the mess they've created. Think about the nerve of all of that. They've stacked the deck in their favor. Then, when it all goes sideways, they blame you for not playing the game correctly. When you've been in the game as long as I have, you get a front row seat to the destruction. I spent years in banking, watching colleagues do whatever it took to make their commission. And let me tell you something, it was disgusting. They would lie, cheat, and put clients in positions they knew were bad, all for the almighty commission. They didn't give a rat's ass about the people they were supposed to serve, only getting their payday. I watch it happen every day, and it still happens. These people don't care about you. They don't care about the consequences of their actions. All they care about is how much money they can make. And when it blows up in their faces, they walk away clean, while the rest of us are left to pick up the pieces. This isn't just a rant. This is the truth that needs to be said. The system is broken, and the powers that be have stacked the deck so high in their favor that there barely any room left for us to even breathe. Here's the thing. When we win, when the mother of all short squeezes, the MOAS, finally happens, don't just think about the money. Think about what that victory represents. It's not just financial freedom. It's about flipping the script on the very people who have been making their fortunes off of our backs. But let's talk about AMC, because I know that's on everyone's mind. If you're part of the community, you've seen the way people flip-flop on narratives. One day they're screaming, "That's it! This is it!" The next day they're backing down, changing their story, and covering their tracks to keep their popularity up. It's frustrating as hell. Why? Because they're making the problem worse. They're just trying to keep their followers, their clicks, their views, and the minute they see someone calling out the truth, They turn on them. They make that person pointing out the facts look like the bad guy, when in reality, they're the ones who are trying to make sense of the madness. Here's why I do this. And this is going to be crystal fucking clear. I'm not doing this for popularity. I'm not doing this to grow my following or to make myself look good. I'm here because I know how the game works. I've seen the system in action. I've watched it destroy people's lives. And I won't sit back and watch as others get fooled into thinking this rigged system will one day work for them. You deserve to understand the truth. You deserve to know how these institutions are manipulating the markets to steal your money. And you deserve to be armed with the knowledge so you can make better decisions moving forward. It's time for us to fight back. And the only way we do that is with the truth. I've been there. I've walked those halls of the banks and watched people make decisions that hurt others. They didn't care. They didn't just want their payday. They just wanted their payday. And that's why I'm telling you, when we win, it won't just be about us. It'll be about showing that we can take on the system. When the MOS happens, remember this moment. It won't just be about numbers going up. It'll be about the people who have been fighting for this moment. The ones who believe that the system can change and the ones who refuse to be silenced. When that moment happens, we'll have proven that we are the ones with the power. Let me be clear, it's not going to be easy. The powers that be aren't going to just roll over. But the truth is on our side. The people who are manipulating the markets, the ones who are rigging the game, they know we're waking up, and they're scared. That's why they're doing everything they can do to suppress the truth. They're scared that we might actually start demanding change. But here's the thing. When we win, it's not just for us. It's for everyone who's been exploited by the system. It's for the retail trader who's been pushed around for years. It's for the average person who's just trying to make a living, only to have the rug pulled out from under them by those who think they control the system. This isn't just about money. This is about fighting for what's right. So when you look ahead, when the market crashes, when the elites start running scared, remember that this battle is ours. And every step of the way, we will remind ourselves that we're doing this for something bigger than just profits. We're doing this for our futures, for the ones who have been getting pushed down and silenced for too long. The government, the central banks, the elites have made their bed. Now it's time for them to sleep in it. The game is rigged, but we don't have to play by their rules anymore. We can rewrite the rules, and together we will. The real fight starts now. Are you ready? And with that, there you go. If you guys ever have any questions or ever need anything from me, please don't hesitate to DM me. I will answer everything that you guys have. It may take me a minute, but I will get to it no matter what. I want to thank Chaotic. I know that she had to do her mama duties, but thank you for coming on by. Matt, as always, I appreciate everything. You always challenge me in every way, shape, and form, and I do appreciate it because it helps me become better.
It helps everybody when we can openly conversate about all these mechanics at play, especially the social media aspect of it, because it's real, and the psychology behind the social media is more difficult to navigate than anything market mechanical, no matter how complicated this stuff sounds to you. The psychology behind the social media is absolutely far more complicated and insane.
That's why I spend so much time with trying to actually teach this stuff, because a smart investor is the best investor. You guys are learning every single day, and you are applying it, because I see it on social media when you guys ask questions. Keep on learning, keep on striving to be better, keep on trying to gain knowledge. Knowledge is power in this game. And the more that you have, the better off you're going to be.
And the easier it is when you see these psychological messengers in the social media side, like to read through the bullshit narrative and see the psychology play that they're trying to implement against the army and the retail cause.
Correct. And so, with that, I have another present for you. A revamped, a redone, reprogrammed to look how he looks now. The new Joker ape.
Later, y'all.
Why isn't it playing? Oh, well, I can fix that on the fly. And
you lack focus, not potential. You lack consistency, not ability. You lack discipline, not genetics. You lack work, not luck. We all have dreams, aspirations, and goals we wish to achieve. Yet too often, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle of complaining about our circumstances rather than taking action to change them. It's easy to blame external factors for our shortcomings. We blame the economy, our upbringing, or even our luck. But let me tell you something. Complaining will never change your circumstances. It will never propel you towards your goals. It will only keep you stuck in a perpetual state of dissatisfaction. Instead of lamenting what we lack, we must focus on what we can do with what we have. Every great achievement in history began with a single action, a decision to stop complaining and start doing. Think about the inventors, the entrepreneurs, the leaders who refused to be defined by their circumstances. They didn't wait for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions. They took action despite the odds stacked against them. It's tempting to assume that success comes effortlessly to those who achieve great things. However, every success story is woven with threads of perseverance, resilience, and unyielding determination. Think about the numerous rejections authors faced before their manuscripts found acceptance, or the setbacks endured by entrepreneurs before their breakthroughs. What distinguishes them isn't the absence of challenges, but their refusal to succumb to them. Indulging in complaints not only saps your energy, but also drives away potential opportunities. When you fixate on what's wrong, you become oblivious to the abundance of possibilities around you. Shifting your mindset from complaint to action unveils a realm of potential waiting to be explored. Instead of dwelling on limitations, embrace the prospect of what could be. Take proactive steps to broaden your horizons, whether through learning new skills, connecting with like-minded individuals, or seizing available opportunities. Consider how your attitude influences those around you. Complaining is infectious, spreading negativity far and wide. When you opt to complain, you not only hinder your own progress, but also dampen the spirits of others. Conversely, embodying a mindset of action and of positivity makes you a source of inspiration. Your actions can uplift, motivate, and ignite the flame of possibility in others who may be facing their own challenges. Lead by example, letting your determination be the catalyst for positivity in the lives of those around you. Remember that life is a journey, not just a destination. The pursuit of your goals isn't solely about reaching a specific endpoint, but embracing the journey of growth and self-discovery. Celebrate every stride forward, no matter how small, and glean wisdom from your setbacks. Each step brings you nearer to your aspirations, but it's the journey itself that molds your character. So relish every moment, treasure each experience, and continue forward with unshakable faith in yourself and your capabilities. So I urge you today to silence the voice of complaint and awaken the voice of action within you. Take ownership of your life and your destiny. Set clear goals and pursue them relentlessly. Yes, there will be obstacles along the way. There will be setbacks and challenges that test your resolve. But remember, it's not the circumstances that define you. It's how you respond to them. Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, see them as opportunities for growth. Every setback is a lesson in disguise, a chance to learn, adapt, and become stronger. Embrace the journey, embrace the challenges, and embrace the person you are capable of becoming. Stop waiting for permission or validation from others. The power to change your life lies within you. Believe in yourself, trust in your abilities, and take bold, decisive action. As the saying goes, the best way to predict the future is to create it.
It's hard to find somebody real in this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? I just need to know I trust you, you know what I'm saying? Who you folks? Somebody show me something real. These days it's really hard to tell. Just need me something I can feel. These feels just got us some respect. Everybody's perfect, give me a bitch with at least a couple scars. Tryna turn this mansion into a home, but it make it hard. You so different than these other girls, I swear. But they make you feel like you're not perfect as yourself. Chasing designer bags, fucking with lamest niggas. I said my goal is done, let's elevate hat. She know I'm crazy, so she hold all of my strap. Wait for the day for you to change, cause they all do that. Gotta work through both our ways, but want this shit to last. Don't get me wrong, I love a bad bitch with an attitude, but I need someone I know I can't afford to lose. God don't give me who I want, give me who I need. Cause I'm only gon' get hurt with what I see. God don't give me what I want, give me what I need. Tryna be careful where I plant on my seed. Somebody show me something real. These days it's really hard to tell. Just need me something I can feel. These feels the status of a spell. Somebody show me something real. These days it's really hard to tell. Just need me something I can feel. These feels the status of a spell.
I got some needs. I need the money, like I need to breathe. I need some honest and I need the scheme. I need the W by any means. Yada that I mean. Tell that little bitch that I'm out of her league. Enough is enough, and I think I'm allergic to suckers. You niggas keep making me sneeze. And them apple blooded, I'm making them bleed. You try to run it, I'm breaking your knee. I made them fall like I'm ranking the league. You know I ball like I play for the league. I mean what I say and I say what I mean. I ain't no joke, we ain't making no memes. If I pull up on them, I'm making that scene. Then I'm making them scream. Straight from the bricks, I need a lick. I drink the body since I was a kid. Nigga on lick, I cannot miss. Came from the bottom and got me a check. Bitch, I'm a flex, I got a flex. We want the crown but don't know what it takes. I am built different, I'm not what you think. I cannot lose, I go out with a bang. I hope you never say my name in vain. I'm with whatever, just not for no games. I know they say I change, I cannot say the same. I bet they want me shackled, they're locked in the chain. Like that's just what happens with bad news. So my mama, I never been fragile. I'm the wrong with the food, it's taboo. Turn you niggas to R&B tattoos. Silly young niggas feel like an OG. Can't forget all the shit that they told me. Tired of niggas thinking that they know me. You gon' turn me back into the old me. You gon' turn me back into a savage. I done did shit you couldn't imagine. Leveled up and then bought me a mansion. I can never go back to what has been. I can never go back to the old days. No way. Back to walking to work on a cold day. Back to thinking my ex was my soulmate. Back to telling myself it'll be okay. We'll be okay. We're surviving the ramen and OJ. Shorty paying the bills, I had no say. I can never go back to the bottom. To the bottom, selling drugs, never know when the cops come. Nigga jealous, they wanted to rob us. I was just trying to give me some dollars. Couple dollars, turn my pennies from hundreds to common. I'm so happy them days are behind us. I ride by different spots, I get flashbacks. I can't get on your level, I'm past that. Watch me run that shit up, I can't go back to none. Trying to get to the top of the world. My nigga went crazy, walked in this corner and seen someone fucking this girl. Fuck all that spinning block, that's that little boy shit we catchin', we rockin' this world. I let everybody have their fun with me. Never had a woman say she done with me. I was working out on the company, I keep money coming in constantly. My little brother them be having runs for cheap, trying to get it. I've been on the run for weeks. Don't think none of you niggas could come for me. Both of my kids got it honestly. I'm the real deal, all the way on half step. Gotta do better than last year. That's my motto. Put a switch on the blick for the lotto. Put them things on the plane like I'm Rollo. Proud to say that I finally changed up. Why the fuck they keep bringing my name up? Cause I'm poppin'. I can never go back to the old days. No way, back to walking to work on a cold day. Back to thinking my ex was my soulmate. Back to telling myself we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Was surviving off woman and OJ. I was paying the bills, I had no say. I can never go back to the bottom. To the bottom. Selling drugs, never knew when the cops come. Niggas jealous, they wanted to rob us. I was just trying to give me some dollars. Turn my pennies from good to commas. I'm so happy them days are behind us. I'm so happy them days are behind me. I'm so happy the baby done found me. I done keep some good niggas around me. I got rid of them niggas who down me. Keeping good energy and I'm prayed up. Tunnel vision ain't nothing can phase us. Once you cross me, ain't nothing can save you. Pull that thing out of it's dangerous, it's dangerous.